Shabbat Shalom and welcome. I'm Rabbi Cattapan, and I'm joined this evening by Leslie Zucker, our musician, and our technical team. Big thank you to our BOW committee for bringing us beyond our walls. That's what BOW means, apparently. If you're interested in being a digital docent, we'll help you learn. You can also learn how to run the streaming. Just reach out to the office and we'll put you in touch with the right people. For those of you here in person, we're calling the page numbers in the square brackets. Please make sure that all your electronic devices are on silent. And this evening, we are celebrating all our graduates, as well as those of you who may be going away to camp. So if you are watching, or if you are here and you're one of the graduates, would like to join us for lighting the Shabbat candles. They are on page 120. And together we welcome Shabbat.
Oh, that's just mean. Well, I might need to get a second set of candles. I've never had such stubborn, yes, yes.
That's one. She's going to graduate from candle lighting.
Right.
That's why she's not a rabbi. She can pass that class. Did you hear that?
I heard it. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Shabbat
Truly.
Shalom. Those are beautiful. The flames are perfect. Aren't they? I mean, those are perfect.
I really got
When she starts
that,
singing, there's not a one drop of wind in here.
the
Nothing.
magic of uncovering your eyes and having the candles, because I got to tell you, I didn't know.
Well, that's true.
I closed my eyes and just prayed.
It worked. You did great.
Thank you.
We continue together on page 121. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. We continue welcoming Shabbat together. Kabbalat Shabbat is on page 130.
Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Naria, naria, etzur yishenu, nekama fana betoda. Naria, letzur yishenu, izmiro naria lo. לכו נרעננה, לכו נרעננה, לכו נרעננה על אדוני. לכו נרעננה, לכו נרעננה, לכו נרעננה על אדוני.
We continue together with Lecha Dodi. We're singing stanzas 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9.
לך לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני פני שבת נקבלה. לך לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני פני שבת נקבלה. לה 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 לה. לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני פני שבת נקבלה. לך לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני פני שבת נקבלה.
שמור וזכור בדיבורך, השמיענו אל עמך, אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד, נשימו תפארת וליתהילה.
לה 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 לה. לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני פני שבת נקבלה. לך לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני פני שבת נקבלה. מקדש מלך עיר מלוכה, ומצאי מתוך ההפכה, רב לשבת בעמק הבכה, והוא יחמול עלייך חמלה. לה 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 לה. לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני פני שבת נקבלה. לך לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני פני שבת נקבלה.
התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך ומיורי, יורי, יורי, שתעברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה.
לה 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 לה. לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני פני שבת נקבלה. לך לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני פני שבת נקבלה. והיו למשיסה שוסייך, ורחקו כל מבעלייך, יסיס עלייך אלוהייך, כמסוס חתן על כלה. לה 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 לה. לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני פני שבת נקבלה. לך לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני פני שבת נקבלה.
בואי ושלום, עצרת בעלה, גם בשמחה וצהלה, תוך אמוני ים סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה.
לך לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני פני שבת נקבלה. לך לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני פני שבת נקבלה. לה 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 לה. לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני פני שבת נקבלה. לך לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני פני שבת נקבלה. לעולם ועד.
We continue together. Middle of page 149. This is an hour of change. Within it, we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it, we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Baruch Ata Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levacha v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta b'ham b'shivtecha b'veitecha u'v'lektecha v'derech u'v'sholchecha u'v'kumecha u'kshartam leot al yadecha ve'hayu l'totafot b'neinecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'tem kedoshim leolechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim li'olachem le'Elohim ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem emet.
Emet. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding road to the promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדב בקודש, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדב בקודש. נורא תהילות אוסף אליהם, נורא תהילות אוסף משה ומרים, זה אלי אנו ואמרו, זה אלי אנו ואמרו, אדוני, נמלוך לעולם ועד. יאי לי 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 לי, יאי לי 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 לי, יאי לי 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 לי, יאי לי לי השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, לשלום, להעמידנו שומרנו ושלום לך.
Shelter us beneath your wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us, God, wrong from right. Amen. 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 ושמעו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם. בני תורה ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת שבת ויהי נפש. שבת שבת ויהי נפש. שבת שבת ויהי נפש. שבת שבת ויהי נפש. Na 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 Adonai. Na 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 Satai Tiftach. Na 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 Ufi Yagid. Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Na 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 Adonai. Na 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 Satai Tiftach. Na 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 Ufi Yagid. Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Na 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 Adonai. Na 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 Satai Tiftach. Na 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 Ufi Yagid. Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'Koneh HaKol V'Zocher Chasdei Avot V'Imahot U'mevii Gula Livnei Mehem
למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בזרע צרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה מתים אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיה מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומדומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, רמן אתה לחיות מתים, ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי המתים. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
As we gather on this Shabbat, we offer prayer for those in need of healing. You may have access to the Mishaberach through a posting there on our comments on Facebook. You can type names there on Facebook. And for us here in person, we have an opportunity to offer names. So go around the sanctuary here. Thank you. As we think of those in need of healing, we join our voices together in the Mi Sheberach prayer.
Source of strength
May the one who blessed our ancestors bring blessings of strength, compassion, and healing to those of us who struggle with the oppression of addiction, emotional distress, and mental suffering. Surround them with loving kindness, grace, companionship, and peace. It is time now for our Simcha moment. Again, we invite you to share Simcha by typing it in the comments. It may include birthday, anniversaries, and good news. For those of us here in person, I invite you to come up. And when you come up, you stand kind of in front of the microphone. You tell us who you are and why you are here.
I'm Leslie, and I have family in town again this week. Last weekend, I had my parents. This week, I have my sister-in-law and my niece, and I'm so pleased they came all the way from Florida.
They ran away from Florida.
They ran away from Florida, right?
She said yes.
I'm Sheila Spicer, and my youngest child, my beautiful daughter Sam, graduates from DeSoto High School tomorrow. And that means I've gotten all 3 of my young ones through all 13 grades of school.
So that's your Simcha.
That is my Simcha.
No, stay up here, You're doing great. Thank you. We're celebrating her graduation. Oh, you can stand. Either way, whatever you feel.
Leave me alone. That's right, make me feel awkward. Love that, love that. You're the best.
You're doing great.
My name's Claudia, and a friend of mine from work, Mary Lou Wilson, who was recently struggling with very aggressive cancer, is now in remission.
There you go. Stand next to her.
Hi, I'm Scott Latman, and my oldest senior graduated from Lee Summit High School. Her last day was Wednesday, and the graduation ceremony is this Sunday. So.
Today is actually the very last time this year that we get to count the Omer together as a congregation. And I thought, well, I should bring the book. I've been using the book. You've probably never seen the book, but here is the book that I've been using. It's called Omer Accounting. It's a very descriptive name. I don't know what else you would call it, right? And this particular week, which is the week number 7, my favorite week, the theme is pray. And it is based on a text from the book of Exodus. And it says, Moses and Aaron said to Pharaoh, Thus says the Eternal, the God of Israel, let my people go, that they may celebrate a festival for me in the wilderness. And Rabbi Cattapan writes, this is the great journey to refine our lives, to become strong and resolved, to have meaning and purpose, depth and commitment, to live in awe and wonder, and to bear witness to life's grandeur. Have an active conversation with the invisible. Doubt and argue. Dream and beg. Ask for help. Ask for forgiveness. Offer gratitude. Shout at the heavens when you despair, and raise your voice in song when you rejoice. Sit still through the silences of the Spirit. Do not run from what cannot be known or understood. Life is mystery. Anything we truly want to know and understand is, by definition, mysterious. Decide, choose, discern, hope, imagine, have courage. Pray. When we pray, we bow in humility to the greatness of it all. May our lives become a prayer to all that is good and important. And know, life is given meaning, texture, purpose, when, meekly, we utter Amen to the mystery and magnificence of life. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sfirat ha'omer. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, ruler of the universe, who sanctifies us with mitzvot and commands us to count the counting of the Omer. Hayom harba'a ve'arba'im yom she'en shisha shavuot u'shnei yamim la'omer. Today is 44 days, which is 6 weeks and 2 days of the Omer. I am going to invite you to go back to your seats because we do have a little bit of a celebration coming up here for graduation, and so we want to make sure that you can see it because it involves at least 2 of you, of your families.
This is the first time I made it through all the Hebrew, which I'm glad because it's the last time that we're going to say it all together.
Very good.
I just
very excellent.
wanted to share that.
Now, with the candles and this, you're just doing yourself today. Wow. All right, it's time for us to recognize our graduates, and if we missed anybody here or at home, we apologize. Maybe, you missed our emails or our communications. It's possible.
You apologize. If we missed anyone, pay attention next year.
Well, I have to say that part. You can say the other part. So here we go. Congratulations to our graduates. Okay, number 1.
Rabbi Rabbi Cattapan received his doctorate honoris causa from the Hebrew Union College. He plans to continue serving the Jewish people as a pulpit rabbi. And who knows, maybe he'll do it again in another 25 years.
Sam Joyce graduating from DeSoto High School, we just heard. Sam plans to attend JCCC and work for 2 years and then finish her degree at K-State to be a secondary school math teacher.
Emma Krasnopoler, graduating from University of Virginia with a master's in European studies. She has a job waiting for her in France beginning in September in Strasbourg, teaching English to elementary-aged children.
Anna Ladman, graduating from Lee's Summit High School, and her father was just here and she plans to attend college.
Olivia Ann Lauren, graduating from Lone Jack High School with a 4.0 GPA in academic honors. She plans to attend college at KU while completing her medical internship at St. Luke's Hospital in the fall of 2023.
Wonderful. And Eliana Meyer graduated from the University of Kansas, KU.
Yes.
I know that, yes. Well, and you can see that is KU for sure, with a BA in anthropology. And she plans to go to graduate school.
I have it on good authority her father did not burst into flames when he walked on the KU campus, but we were all wondering.
Because, her father is a very big Mizzou fan, I think so.
Thank you all for sharing your joys and your accomplishments of yourselves and your families. We really love to take this moment and see where you all have been and where you're going. So we appreciate those of you who did share with us.
And thanks to Leslie and Sharon Altman who put it all
Sharon,
together.
yes, thank you, Sharon.
Thank you. Now, if you are here with us or at home and you are taking a trip this summer going to Israel, or if you're going away to overnight summer camp, we invite you to come forward.
Yep. Okay.
All right, well, if you're at home, we wish you well. Enjoy your time away wherever life will take you. Safe travels. As we honor each one of you for the gifts you bring, you're our sacred community, we together mark this occasion singing the Shehecheyanu blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehecheyanu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehecheyanu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh.
And this evening, because it is the Shabbat before a major Jewish holiday, and sometimes when it's not a major Jewish holiday, any holiday will do it. It is Ask the Rabbi about that particular one. And we got 15 minutes, and I'm being held to that by my colleague here. And the topic is Shavuot. So I'm ready to answer your questions. And of course, if you don't have any questions, I'm sure I'll have something to say. So but that never stopped me or any rabbis. But first, your questions. And online as well, if there are any questions, are you monitoring that? There you go. So, and Leslie will repeat the question for everybody to hear.
Why do we eat dairy on Shavuot?
Nobody knows. Next question. Now, I will answer the question, but in a moment. Because if that's my fallback question. So it's a great question. It will be answered this evening. I think we have someone here.
Could you please explain the counting of the Omer?
Oh, yes. Well, it is related to Shavuot. So this is here's the story about Shavuot. I like to quote the opening lines of this commentary by Rabbi Jonathan Sachs about Shavuot. And he says the following: Shavuot is a riddle wrapped in a mystery inside an enigma. So Shavuot is special in many ways, the dairy being one of them, which we'll get to, I promise, before the 15 minutes are over. The other special feature of Shavuot is that unlike every other holiday in the Jewish calendar, there is nowhere in the Torah or anywhere where the date of Shavuot is given. It's like, what do you mean? Well, there's no date for Shavuot. So how do we celebrate the way that we do it? And here comes the Omer. So the Omer is a measure of barley, and when the barley harvest begins, we were supposed to bring a certain amount every day to the temple. And we did that for 50 days. And when we were at the 50 days, that was Shavuot. 7 weeks. Now, it's not that simple. Because the Torah says that you start bringing the Omer, and the Hebrew is, and I'm going to say it in Hebrew and then I'll try to translate it, Mimochorat HaShabbat. Now the word machar means tomorrow, and the word mochorat means the day after tomorrow. And Shabbat means Shabbat, right? But what does the word Shabbat mean also in Hebrew? No? Rest, right? So it could mean from tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, the rest after tomorrow, or the next Shabbat, or, when do we rest? So we rest on Shabbat, we rest on the first and last day of a holiday. And when is this Mimochorat Shabbat? It's Mimochorat Shabbat during the festival of Passover. So there were at least 4 options. I'm not going to burden you with all of them. But the options were Shabbat means the first day of Pesach, the holiday. The first day is Shabbat, it's the day of rest. Then the next day we start counting the Omer, and that gets you a certain day at the end. The other possibility is that Shabbat means Shabbat. So it is the first Shabbat after Passover. And then you count 50 days. Is that the same day for Shavuot? Obviously not. Now it's a different day. And then it could also mean Shabbat could be the Shabbat during Passover. And so you start counting the Shabbat during Passover. The other possibility is that Shabbat means Shabbat, and it's some Shabbat, and then Shavuot is always on a Sunday, right? So, and there's an additional little complication here, because the months of Nisan and Iyar could be 28 or 29 days. So some years Shavuot will be on a certain day, no matter how you count it, and some years will be another day. Now, would you believe that they couldn't agree on anything? So this is actually an interesting subject altogether. You have heard names like the Pharisees and the Dead Sea Scroll community and the rabbis and the early Christians community. Well, one of their points of disagreement was on this particular subject of what does it mean Mimochorat Shabbat, which meant that at least until the 4th century, Shavuot could be the 5th, the 6th, the 7th of Sivan. It could be the next week. It could be any given Sunday 5 weeks after Pesach, but it had to be on a Sunday, because it was Mimochorat Shabbat. So, it's complicated, to say the least. Now, the way that we calculate, so who won? The guys who said that Mimochorat Shabbat means the day after the first day of Pesach. And we count 50 days, the Omer, and then Shavuot is always on the same day. Whew. Thank God for that.
We have a question from online. What is the tradition of studying all night? Why do we have that?
Very good question. Thank you for that question. So the tradition for studying all night is a very late tradition, probably associated with the mystics and the mystical traditions, because the piece that I did not say is that all this discussion about Shavuot until the 4th century, when we finally set the day, include no mention of the giving of the Torah on Shavuot. So we know that until the 4th century, Shavuot and the giving of the Torah were not associated together, and it's only after that happened in the Talmud that we get the connection with Torah. And there, of course, from Torah you get the study and the idea of waiting all night for the revelation, because the revelation happened really early. We don't know what time, but probably early on the day of Shavuot. Therefore, you kind of wait in a vigil studying until the giving of the Torah happens.
What are some of the common ways to observe Shavuot?
Oh, very good. So, because of this makes Shavuot unique as well, because there aren't any clear. Shavuot doesn't have, like, when you talk about Passover, you got a Seder. There's no Seder. There's no Sukkah. There's nothing tangible. Leslie is struggling trying to find songs for Shavuot, and nobody knows any songs about Shavuot, and we'll get to the food in the middle, but other than that, it's a Yom Tov, and currently there is a very elaborated Torah service, and some people do the study overnight, but that's not universal. That is a mystical Hasidic custom, and it's only really mostly from Eastern Europe. No, it's pretty widespread now, but it's not like the thing. And but there are no any particular rituals at home that you would do like for Passover and Sukkot. That might have contributed to the clear neglect that Shavuot has traditionally been unobserved by most Jews, because it doesn't really have any quote-unquote fun things associated with it. Which brings us to the question of the food. So for that, I'm simply going to mention what most scholars think is the reason behind. There are two reasons behind the eating of dairy. One is that there's no other holiday where we only eat dairy, because you always, no, seriously, you always have the issue separating meat with milk. So there you get a break. You can have all the milk you want and don't have to worry about anything. Of course, don't eat any, fleischig with it, but milk is all right. Now, the actual more scholarly reason behind it is, again, think about the fact that we have 3 pilgrimage holidays: Pesach, Shavuot, and Sukkot. Passover, Shavuot, and Sukkot. And Passover and Sukkot are clearly associated with a piece of sacred history. Now, when you teach the holidays, you say, oh, well, it's about the Exodus from Egypt. Clearly, that's Passover. Sukkot is not as clear, but most scholars or most teachers of Judaism will say that Sukkot is about our 40 years in the desert. If that is the case, if the 3 holidays of pilgrimage are about our sacred journey from Egypt to the land of Israel, and we get the Exodus from Egypt and the 40 years in the desert, what's missing? Huh? The arrival, the destination, right? By the way, the whole point of the Torah, one could say, is reaching the land of Israel, right? Because Abraham leaves his homeland, whether it's Ur or somewhere else, we're not sure. And I'm not going to go into that, but I'm going to plant that seed of doubt. We don't know where Abraham is from. So he goes to the land that I will show you, which is Canaan, which is the land of Israel. And then his descendants leave, and he goes down first to Egypt and comes back, and then everybody goes, and it's so the whole story of the Torah is really a story about getting to the land of Israel. How in the world there isn't a holiday that celebrates our arrival in the land of Israel, right? I mean, it makes no sense. Really makes no sense. Well, it is because not so much that people forgotten, but things happened. In the year 70, the temple was destroyed, and as a result, this whole thing about the land of Israel was less relevant because we didn't have the land of Israel anymore. So Shavuot kind of suffered because the holiday itself was about the land of Israel. And where's my? I don't need the text. I can just tell you. There's a text in Deuteronomy that says, this is what you say on a holiday. You bring these offerings and you say, I thank God for bringing me to the land of, there you go, of this wonderful land, a land flowing with milk and honey. Right. Now, this text, if you know your Jewish things, you'll know where this text is from. Arami oved avi ve'yiret Mitzrayma. My father was a wandering Aramean. Where's that? Where do you read that? The Seder, right? So now it's associated with Pesach, but that's much later. The text is actually about Shavuot. And how do I know it's about Shavuot? Because it has the word bikurim there. The person brings this first fruits, and Shavuot in the Torah is called Chag HaBikurim, the festival of the first fruits. And so it says, you bring us to the land flowing with milk and honey. Milk, dairy. That's it. Now, why is it not milk and honey cakes? Well, I don't know, but at least the milk part, yes.
I heard a different reason.
What was the reason?
Just a midrash.
Yeah, it's.
What I heard is that we do dairy because we were given the laws, we were given, the whole Torah, and that's when we were commanded to keep kosher. It just tells us that we had to have kosher meat, and there was no time when they got back from receiving the Torah to kosher meat in the right way. So they just
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that's a very creative way. It has nothing to do with reality. with like a historical reality. It's a good story, yes. Yeah. So I heard somebody told me the other day, isn't that the blintzes are like 2 Torah scrolls, like, the 2 tablets? So, that's a good one too. No. This is the actual reason. And this is actually the reason given in the Talmud as well. Now, the issue here complicates it because the Talmud in post-rabbinic, post-exile Judaism, post-70, has a hard time with Shavuot because it is the only festival that really celebrates the land of Israel. And after the year 70, there's no more living in the land of Israel, and so they have to reinvent the holiday even more. They didn't have to reinvent the holiday for that. I want to say, I'm almost out of time.
My watch tells me you are finished.
Now, this is the best. This one is from Rabbi Sachs, and I'm going to read it because it's so good. And he says this conjecture, and I agree. And many of these are conjectures. This conjecture that I told you is a little better than the one about, but not much better. And it is certainly better than the 2 tablets and the blintzes conjecture. That's totally off the point. But here is how we actually can make sense of all this, I think. And this is Rabbi Sachs. It would also follow that the 3 pilgrimage festivals correspond to 3 different kinds of bread. Pesach is about the bread of oppression. Our ancestors ate in Egypt. Sukkot is about the manna, the bread from heaven that they ate for 40 years in the wilderness. The sukkah itself symbolizing the clouds of glory that appeared just before the manna fell from the heaven for the first time. Shavuot, with its offering of 2 loaves, according to the book of Leviticus, is about the bread of freedom, made with the grain from the land itself, a land that now, in those days, we owned. So it might once have been, but something happened, of course. We lost the land and then it happened. But I thought that was a beautiful way that then you can see that certainly at one point at least, the 3 holidays were all together and they actually made sense. The bread of oppression, a holiday about manna, and finally a holiday about the bread of freedom that we made with our own hands. Shabbat Shalom, everybody, and I hope to see you all on Thursday, 6:30 in our sanctuary. It's our Shavuot and confirmation celebration.
And I'll give a little plug for our Facebook page and our Instagram. If you go on there, I've been doing a post every night for the counting of the Omer. And our first set was some pretty little videos. And then I did a series of, did you know, scouring the internet and all the books that I own about little facts about the story about the meat and the coming down from Sinai. That is on there as one of the reasons given for dairy. So check it out. All kinds of quotes and little tidbits of factoids, and some of it's probably even true.
Thank you. We continue our service together on page 586, as we rise, if you're able, for Aleinu L'Shabeach.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'Adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי ארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כאן, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא.
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני וחרו שמו אחד. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
As it's become our tradition, we've done it more than once, and so it's our tradition now to once a month at least invite one of you, our congregants, to share remembrances of a loved one whose yortzeit we marked this year. And for that today, I would like to invite Jeff Ross. And it's not always possible to do what happens today, which is on the very first yortzeit of the person we remember, we have one of you, but that is the case today. Jeff.
Shabbat Shalom. Let me say that before I start. It doesn't seem very fair. You can tell who the boss is. He gets 15 minutes, I get 3. I'm Jeff Ross. Today is my brother's yahrzeit, my baby brother's yahrzeit. Anthony, as we knew him, Tony passed away 1 year ago after a lengthy illness. Tony was my youngest sibling, 8 years younger than me. He was just a baby when my parents were divorced. Because of the difficulties that Mom was left with, Tony spent his early years living with my aunt. We could only get together on weekends. Of course, my aunt and uncle, being very Orthodox Jews, couldn't imagine why Mom named him Anthony. Mom had a crush at that time with the Jewish movie star Tony Curtis. There was no way that Aunt Ethel could bring herself to call him such a goyish name, so they called him Avi, which is his Hebrew name. I'm sure my baby brother Tony, my baby, then toddler Tony, was confused when he came home to live with us, and I'm sure now that he's listening to me, he's not too happy that I just told you this story. He didn't like to be called Avi. When we became family again, he became full-time Tony. As Tony and I were 8 years apart in age after college and then the draft that caused me to spend 4 years in the Air Force, and then Gail and I moving to Kansas City from our hometown of Michigan, Tony and I hardly knew each other. It would be 7 years later that Tony and Kathy moved to this area and joined our family business. We would be partners along with brothers Alan and Arnie for the next 36 years. I'd say we got to know each other pretty well. Tony had a terrible tragedy befall his family shortly after moving to Kansas City. Their 14-month-old baby, Michael, was diagnosed with Tay-Sachs. It was a shock, as they never considered the chance that this could happen, as Kathy was not Jewish, and it takes both parents to be so genetically predisposed. Michael lived an extremely traumatic life until he passed away at 6 years old. I know that this was the source of much of Tony's health problems. He never truly recovered from the trauma of this. Tony, Kathy, and their daughter Nicole started up a nonprofit, the Michael Ross Memorial Foundation. Their foundation is used exclusively to help support their favorite charity, one that is close to their heart. The Bay Cliff Health Camp is that charity, and it's in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. It is one of the few, for a while it was the only camp that accepts all children regardless of how severe their disabilities are. They turn no child away. The camp has served disabled children for 89 consecutive summers. Over 12,000 disabled children have been served over their summer therapy camp just since 2010. 39,000 hours of therapy during that time. Occupational therapy, PT, speech, have all been offered with little, if any, cost to the families. If I learned anything from Tony, and I certainly learned more than just this, but I will always remember him telling me that the benefit of this camp was not just the therapy provided to those children, but it was also tremendously beneficial and equally more beneficial to the families that were provided, if you will, a not feel guilty but needed break from the full-time job of taking care of these kids. Tony and Kathy would know about this all too well. Of course I miss him, and I'll always think of him in other ways. His insane sense of humor, his famous Super Bowl parties, his business sense, and last but not least, the awful pranks that he loved to pull on his brothers. Okay, maybe I won't miss the pranks.
Thank you, Jeff and Gail. Our thoughts now turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and our neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. As a congregation, we are observing the Shiva period for Tyler Anderson, husband of Michelle Anderson, father of Tate, and son-in-law of Sarah and Scott Goldstein. And the Shloshim period for Norma Schoenwetter, mother and mother-in-law of Mark and Janice Schoenwetter, Anne Sweeney, mother and mother-in-law of Amy and Les Rosenfeld, and grandmother of Rachel Rosenfeld-Blatt, and Sybil Kahn, mother and mother-in-law of Fred and Sherry Kahn. And on this Shabbat, we remember the following yortzites: Riva Balanov, Robert Barden, Charlotte Cohen, Marjorie Blonde Cohen, Evelyn Dukowski, Charles Fair, Gay Franklin, Marvin J. Goldberg, Irvin Lambert, Milton Irvin Mann, Sarah Lee Optican, Norman Reisman, Irvin Rosenberg, Tony Rose, Ruth Sains, Melvin Silverman. Zichronam livracha, may the memories be for a blessing. Page 598, we rise together for Kaddish Yatom, the mourner's Kaddish. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמה דברה חיגותה וימליך מלכותה, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך ללם וללמי וללמיה, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו, לאלה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תוש בחתה ונחמתה, דע אמירם בעלמה ואמרו אמן. יהא שלמה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל v'imru amen.
Ose shalom bimromah, uyase shalom aleinu, ve'amu Yisrael, ve'imru
You know, I had a question earlier about what are the traditions for Shavuot, and I neglected to mention the book I have in my hands. This is the day I do show and tell, 2 books, but this is actually not a Siddur, not a prayer book. This is actually a Machzor for Shavuot. This is from the series of Machzorim that Rabbi Sachs edited. This is part of the Miller edition. It's also published by Koren, which is a publisher in Israel, and it's my favorite Hebrew font, Koren. I love it. I have every Siddur and Machzor from Koren in Hebrew, and now in the last few years they created all that. And of course there is a Machzor for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, several volumes, and the one for Pesach, a couple volumes. The Shavuot, although it looks good, big, is the smallest of them all. And Shavuot is in the traditional congregations, is observed for 2 days, so they are here, all the poems and the Piyutim and the liturgical poems, plus a whole thing about Tikkun Leil Shavuot studies, texts, and all that in this. It's in English and in Hebrew, no transliteration and commentary.
I know, I should have asked the rabbi when I was looking for things to know about Shavuot. Did I ask the rabbi? I did not ask the rabbi. I asked Rabbi Google.
And it's not on Google, and you can't get this on Kindle either, so you actually have to have the physical book. Thank God for that. There's still books. Thank you to Leslie and Warren for the beautiful music, and to Dave Zucker for our wonderful, whatever he's doing for you to help you be part of our service. Thank you to our Shalom squad and ushers, Scott Franklin, Gail, and Jeff Ross. And to Scott Latman, who will lead us in Kiddush. And thank you again, Jeff, for the beautiful Azkacha.
Our Shabbat celebrations continue tomorrow morning with Sichat Shabbat, our Shabbat conversation in the library. And following Sichat, we'll have Shabbat morning worship right back here in the sanctuary, and both are multi-access.
There's so much going on this weekend. First, our annual meeting. This is your chance to vote on budget, bylaws, and the new slate of board members. We hope to see you here in our sanctuary at 10 a.m. in person only.
And then later that afternoon, we are pleased to once again host Potluck Productions for their play reading series. These are short scripts by local female playwrights. The theme is recollections, plays about loss and memory and moving on, and that's $5 at the door, 3 p.m. in the Ulam. No, it's not a potluck with food.
I was going to ask, my last name starts with C. What am I supposed to bring? A salad, a side dish?
Why don't you bring a charcuterie board, and I will be delighted to partake of it while I'm watching the plays.
Shavuot, as I said, is next week. We encourage you to come. Thursday evening is Erev Shavuot and confirmation, 6:30 here. Please be there or be square.
It's such an important milestone in the Jewish journey of our young adults, so I highly, highly encourage you to come out and be there to support them in person. As you can see, there's so much more going on, including Rabbi Cattapan's first bait, sharing, actually, it's not up there, but that's in June. The very first weekend of June, Rabbi Cattapan will be sharing some of what he learned during his sabbatical. For more information, you know where to look by now, and if you don't, call the office and we'll let you know.
And after our closing song, we invite you to join us in the Ulam for Kiddush and Hamotzi and our Oneg. And our closing song is the only thing we could find that has the word Torah in it, just about. And the words are, Moses taught this Torah and inheritance to the congregation of Jacob. If you're able, please stand and join us. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Take care of each other out there.
Bye-bye.